Hey class, in this screencast I'm going to go over the exact expectations of the informative presentation. I'm going to take my time and go over exactly the requirements and what I expect and take notes and really focus in on the requirements of this informative presentation. There's a lot going on. Also, if you use this assignment right here, the informative presentation, as a checklist, and you check off everything on this list as you create and build your presentation, you're going to get a great grade. So off we go. It's broken down into 5-6 parts. I'll start with the basic information. First is you have to have some academic sources, ideally from library databases. 99% of students get their research from the internet. Stop that. Sometimes that can be valid, but I want you to use the academic search engines of the library that you have access to. So see if you can find something academic. Great. 2 to 4 academic sources. Visuals that gain... I'm going to just make this a little bigger. There we go. Visuals that gain attention and clarify. So lots of visuals. I want you to have more visuals in your PowerPoints than text. Total length, 8 to 10 minutes of the entire presentation. That will equate to 2 parts in a Jing screencast, part 1 and part 2. A PowerPoint, and you're going to choose a specific informative type, either a description about objects or people, definition, idea or event, or a demonstration, a how-to speech. And these can be found in chapter 17 on page 385, the different types of informatives that you can do. Your end result is to upload it to Jing in 2 parts before you present it to class. Part 1 should end with an internal summary, also called a review, and you can find that information on page 384 under step 7. And part 2 should open with an internal preview, what's left, and kind of preview the beginning of part 2 just really quickly. And you can read about those in page 341, and that's in chapter 16, step 7. So that's the basic information. Let's look at the introduction. First of all, your introduction should really have 4 major components to it. Number 1, grab the audience's attention. Remember the primacy effect, first impressions. Do not start your presentation by saying, "Today my presentation is on." Those days are over, people. Open with a quote, open with a story, open with a question, a statistic. Find something creative to open with. If you open with, "Today is my presentation on," not good for your grade. Okay? Open creatively. Next is introduce your topic and your thesis statement and your major propositions. Those should be explicitly stated, what your thesis is, your topic, and your major propositions. And when you watch the student model, you're going to see that in there, and you're going to look at how that student does the preview of those items. Lastly, explicitly state why the audience should care, your value statement. You need to tell them, this is important to you, the audience, because, and tell us that explicitly in your introduction. Let's go to the body. Use several forms of support. You'll find those on page 317. They can be definitions, statistics, facts. This is your research, stories, testimony, examples. Use several forms of and types of support. The more, the better. Secondly, your total presentation should have between 2 and 5 main ideas. These should also be the headings of your slides. And the main ideas of your slides should be your topics, should be your main ideas. 2 to 5 total main ideas. Signposts. These are on page 341. These are transitional words, previews to main ideas, internal summaries. Signposts is the big one that I would highlight here. My first major point, second major point, third major point. You could also call those feed forward and previewing what you're going to say. Or also those would be meta messages. They don't really tell us anything about the content. They structure and they're process-oriented messages. So I want you to use transitional phrases, also known as signposts. The last part of the body that you want to make sure you have is verbal citations. Anything that you've researched, make sure you verbally cite it. So you might say something like, and I use the example here, according to Newsweek magazine, May 2012, I am citing where I got the research from. The more you cite your research in your presentation, the more credible you sound. So cite all your research. Don't leave any research not verbally cited in your presentation. Conclusion. Creatively close. Quote. Refer to the beginning. Share your personal feelings. Again, story. Any of those creative ways that you can close. You can look at page 339. That might help you. I apologize for that. I kind of jumped down. And re-emphasize the main ideas. What did we cover today? We covered idea 1, idea 2, idea 3. Also, remember the recency effect. What happens last, people remember the most. And so because it happens last in the timeline, it's going to stick in people's heads. So your conclusion should really nail these things. Creatively close, recap, and tell us the most important thing you want us to remember walking away from your speech. And lastly, make sure you have a bibliography slide and cite your academic sources and cite your pictures as well. For pictures, you only need to have the URL, and that's fine. Presentation style, you know what? However you guys want to use presentation style, you can use 3x5 note cards. I have an outline that's going to be posted up there and will help you to fill in what you want to say. You can also look in the textbook in terms of outlining. They do an extensive job of showing informative speech outlines. Remember on your PowerPoint, I'd like to have more visuals, less text. The 5-5 rule in PowerPoint says this: no more than 5 bullets per slide and no more than 5 words per bullet. So that's a general guideline that you want to minimize text and wording, and you want to maximize visuals and what you're saying and talking about. Preparation. Remember that it's academic in nature, citing your sources verbally. Would like you to, not rely on background as much as research, but that's okay because I want you to do something that you know a lot about and you're passionate about. Prepared and well rehearsed. Ideally, everybody's rehearsing 3 to 5 times. In the screencast on rehearsal, you'll hear some of the tips on that. And personally challenge yourself. I'm looking for a personal challenge, which may be different for many different people. It's different for all of us. But challenge yourself. Research more. Go above and beyond. Push your presentation skills. And really challenge yourself in this. Goals. Can you set 3 presentation goals regarding improving your presentation abilities? That would be the ideal, is to set 3 presentation goals. Maybe it's being clear. Maybe it's watching out for ums. But really think about yourself. And maybe as you rehearse, and if you rehearse with other people, peers, they can give you goals right there on the spot. Grading. Basic information, 10%. Intro and conclusion, a lot, 25%. Body, 25%. If you skip the introduction and don't put it in there, that's going to really hurt your grade. Those are each worth about a letter grade. So you really want to focus on these. Presentation style, goals, and preparation, and then just my discretion is 10%. But your focus really is 50% is on your actual speech, intro, body, conclusion, and really, having those components. So again, this has been the expectations for the informative presentation. Feel free to ask me questions, talk about it with your peers, and reach out to people who might be able to help you understand some of the ins and outs of this assignment. But I look forward to your questions, and I look forward to hearing your informative presentations. Good luck.